Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, live from the Zurich Classic in New Orleans, PGA Tour player Andrew Novak.
What's up? Yeah, we are back on the road here, but happy to finally be NFL draft week and happy to be talking some football.
Yeah, this is the second episode of our three-part NFL draft series. Huge episode today. Ton of prep. First ever Screenplay mock draft. Pretty excited for it. Going to be doing a full first round NFL mock draft on today's episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes Wednesdays at 8 a.m. on all podcast streaming services. So NFL draft, one day away. Pretty exciting. Before we get into the draft, we are going to talk potential trades. We're not going to be doing any trades in our draft just because that's where it kind of gets sticky and complicated. But what
It's,
trades do you see coming this week?
yeah, I think there's a few hot spots. When you look just down the order, I think New England at three is definitely one where you might see fielding some trades. Even Arizona at four behind them as well. I do see Tennessee is at seven being an opportunity for somebody to move up, and then also Chicago at nine. It's obviously going to kind of depend on how things fall and who ends up being available at times. But um, I think if the offer's right, I think those are some opportunities in the top 10 where you could see some movement.
I think depending on what the Patriots do, like I think we all know QB are going probably 1 and 2, but depending on what the Patriots do, like it could trigger a series of events where they trade back, take the third quarterback. Yeah, I mean, I think the most obvious team we see moving up is probably the Vikings.
Mhm.
I think they're going to want to get into that 3, 4, or 5 spot. I mean, Pats, Cards, and Chargers are all candidates to want to move
Yeah.
out of that spot right now.
Yeah, I think the Vikings, I do think Denver, even though they just went and got Zach Wilson, I don't think that's what they're looking at as like the future. They basically did like a late pick swap that doesn't really tell me that they're putting a lot of value into uh wherever that goes. So I think Denver could be a team to watch. And then sneaky little team in the back, Seattle could be looking to jump everybody there to make a little move if they do want to try and go quarterback.
Yeah. I think the Chargers, I'd give it a more than likely chance that they're trying to move down.
Yeah,
They just don't necessarily need that fifth pick and they need more picks. They got their QB. So I
yeah,
think the Chargers are looking to move down. And then, I mean, we all know the Broncos kind of need a quarterback, but then they had that weird move with Zach Wilson this week, bringing him in, and they don't even have a ton of draft capital to work with.
yeah.
So for them to jump up in the draft, they got a lot of other needs. Um, if they don't grab a quarterback, I could honestly see the Broncos moving backwards.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They do kind of just need picks at this point because there's pretty much nothing on their roster that's just like, okay, we're good. So they do need to add a lot. I do agree there.
Over under 1.5 trades in the first 10 picks.
In the first 10 picks.
1.5. I mean, it's a sneaky number. You think there's definitely going to be one, but you're like,
Yeah,
will there be two? I don't know. It's not a
I
betting
think
line. It's
I
just
think it's two, but I think it's backdoor. I think you see like definitely by Tennessee. I think there will have been by after Tennessee there will have been one by then, and I do think Chicago moves off a nine. So
okay.
I think that's your two right there.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into a little bit of gambling before we hit this draft. Total defensive players taken in round one. Over under 10.5. These are lines, got them on
Yeah,
DraftKings, so they are out
yeah.
there, can bet them.
So it's funny. I had under uh, for defense and over for offense, and then I did my mock, went back and counted, and I've changed my answer. I'm now going over 10.5 on the defense and under the 21.5 on the offense.
Yeah, so I've got the opposite. I'm going under 10.5, which is plus money. I got 10 defensive players going round one, and then total offensive players next one we are going to go to. I got
Yeah,
22 over 21 and a half. So I'm
yeah.
on the plus side. It's either one or, I mean,
I'm 21 and 11, so I'm really right there, and I definitely
and
took
I'm
a few.
22 and 10. So it's just,
I
it's,
had some
these
interesting
lines
pick
are,
late, so
yeah, these lines are
it's
pretty,
gonna be
pretty accurate.
they're good. Yeah, yeah.
This is a big question though. Total QBs in round one. Right now, the line is 4.5. Over 4.5 minus 270. Under 4.5 plus 215. What do you have?
I've got over on that. As you'll see in the near future, I am definitely on the over there.
I am too. Yep, over 4.5. A lot of juice there if you want to bet it, but
Yeah, yeah,
oh, I think over 4.5 is the play. Honestly, minus 270s. I mean, it's a lot of juice, but I thought it'd be more than what it is.
yeah. I don't disagree.
Total wide receivers in round one. Right now, the line is over under 6.5.
With the juice to the over and how my numbers fell, I'm taking the over. I have 7 in my mock. I think it's a decent value there, especially with the juice to that side. So I like the over there.
I got over 6.5. I got 8.
Wow. Okay.
I like over as well. A little fun one here, Mr. Irrelevant. Right now, we're going by position. QB leads at plus 300, followed by defensive line edge at 500, O line plus 500, wide receiver and cornerback fall in the back. What do you got for Mr. Irrelevant?
Yeah, I spent way too long looking at this. I was
I
looking
did
at
too.
quarterback options. I was looking at all these things. It's the Jets picking.
257 Jets. Yep.
Didn't like anything. Um, I don't know. You don't have running back odds on there. I don't know if you can bet running back, but I'm taking the pick of Carson Steele, running back out of UCLA, is going to be last man taken by the Jets.
I got defensive line or edge at plus 500. I think the
Like,
Jets are just going to be like, give us something there.
yeah,
I don't think they're taking a QB. It's not going to be kind of a waste of a pick there at the end. Um, yeah. You got any lock bets for this draft?
I think the biggest lock, you're not going to really make any money on this pick because, well, unless you put up a lot of money, but Caleb Williams is going one. I don't, there might be other people saying, like, oh, these are locks. Like, this guy's definitely going somewhere. Like, Caleb Williams is going one.
So
That
I
is a
think it's
lock,
minus
right?
20,000. So, I mean, if
Yeah.
you want, yeah,
You're not making money on it, but, like, I don't know. You want a free dollar? Go for it.
I'll go a little more realistic of a bet. My lock bet is it's a matchup. Cornerback Quinion Mitchell or offensive tackle Troy Fatanu. Both minus 110. I got offensive tackle Troy Fatanu going before Quinion Mitchell. I see a lot of need for OTs. And
I
I
do
think
not agree with
all right.
you. But yeah, I
So
like it
that
though.
yeah, little gambling there for the NFL
Yeah, yeah.
draft. Now we are going to get into the draft, but before we do, we are gonna suit and tie up for this.
No way.
Suit and tie.
Oh my gosh. You went to Gentleman Outfitters today. How about that?
Gonna make it official.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is a podcast, so for all of you listening on Spotify and Apple Pods that aren't seeing a video, he has actually busted out a full suit uh, for this part of the video to go ahead and whiff on about 25 picks. But
Ah,
we love the dedication.
all set and ready now. Okay, let's get into it.
All
S- The Screenplay podcast, mock draft 1.0. Um, we will start with the Chicago Bears. You are on the clock.
I guess I'll go ahead. So I don't think there's a whole lot of discussion necessarily needed for this. It's Caleb Williams. That's who's getting taken. The Bears, they need, they have a few other needs. They addressed some things in this offseason. They need a little help at edge. Maybe could use some wide receiver love. They have some good wide receivers, but Keenan Allen a little older, whatever. But it's Caleb Williams. That's who they're going with. I don't think there's a whole lot of discussion needed on this one.
No, there's not. It's Caleb Williams out of USC. They have some other needs, but that's who they're taking. It's a quick, easy one. We'll move right on to the number 2 pick.
So I think there's not a lot of debate that it'll probably be quarterback going to Washington. Now there is some debate over who it'll be. I was doing some digging, man. I'm just trying. I was kind of flip-flopping, and they've got Cliff Kingsbury as OC. He had Kyler for a few years in Arizona. He's very comfortable with that. They went out and they got Marcus Mariota, and that is currently their quarterback one, um, going into the season at this point. And just looking at these two, Jaden Daniels seems just more like a Marcus Mariota type. Like if you're getting the backup, you kind of want it to be a guy that can do similar things that your starter's doing, ideally, so it flows seamlessly. Or at least if Jaden Daniels comes in, uh, sits a few weeks and then you bring him in after the bye week or something, they can do a lot of similar things. So I think you can kind of run the same sort of offense and keep it nice and easy. So I think the pick is Jaden Daniels. I do think that is a little bit of the favorite right now as far as where people are going with it. But I think the quarterback out of LSU is going to Washington too.
Yeah, with the number two pick, I agree. Jaden Daniels is going to be going to the Washington Commanders. Commanders. When you look at the coaching staff there, Cliff Kingsbury, offensive coordinator, they've worked with runaround quarterbacks. The offensive line is not great right now. He'll be able to, make some plays with what they have. I worry about him staying healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jaden Daniels, LSU going to the Washington Commanders.
And that leaves for the third pick, assuming the Patriots do stay there. I do think they stay and they take Drake May. I don't know if it'll be the best decision, going forward. He's not going to have much around him to help early on, but um, I do think they have to go quarterback and um, get their guy for the future and then build around him going forward.
Yeah, pick number three, New England Patriots. Listen, if Drake May falls to New England, the quarterback class next year just probably isn't going to be what it is this year. So if we can get Drake May at three, I'm not stoked on it, but I'm also not disappointed. I think that's the pick, Drake May, and see what we can build around him going forward.
As a Patriots fan, do you have a preference? Like, would you
Yeah,
rather
yeah,
Daniels fall to?
yep. As a Patriots fan, I would prefer we take Marvin Harrison Jr. Uh,
But if say Washington took Drake May, would you want to take Daniels or would you still want to take Marvin Harrison?
I would still
Does that
take
matter
Marvin
to you?
Harrison. Yeah,
Okay.
we have no speed on the Patriots. I do believe they're going to take Drake May. If I'm in that position, I'm either trading back or taking Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right. Right.
It doesn't really matter
Yeah.
who your quarterback is. I think whoever's going to the Patriots this year, it's going to be a disaster for a year or two. So,
Okay.
um,
Cool.
yeah, Drake May is the pick, but I'm not the biggest fan on it.
Gotcha. Okay. Fourth, we have the Arizona Cardinals. They have massive needs at wide receiver right now. Um, they lost their top guy from last year, Hollywood leaving. Although he was hurt and in and out of the lineup, he didn't really work out. They need a wide receiver, and I think they're going Marvin Harrison Jr. here. He's the top wide receiver in the class, although there is a little bit of debate on that now. He has been the top wide receiver in the class for the last 2 years. I think anybody kind of saying otherwise right now, that's just conjecture. I think he's the top guy. He'll be the first wide receiver off the board, and he'll be going to Arizona.
Yeah, fourth pick, Arizona Cardinals take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's been obvious for a while he's gonna be the first receiver off the board. Like you're saying, Neighbors may have more upside in the future. He's a little more shifty, I think, than Marvin Harrison is. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that the Cardinals are taking him at fourth unless they trade out. But yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., fourth pick, Arizona Cardinals.
And at five for the Chargers, you just mentioned him. I've got Malik Neighbors heading to the Chargers. They badly, badly need playmakers on that team right now. They have a very good quarterback, but they really just have nobody that can reliably do things with the ball in their hands. And I think Malik gives Herbert a true wide receiver one. And I honestly would think he's probably, if he goes there, he's probably the fantasy target for wide receiver one of the rookies over Marvin Harrison simply because of the situation he's stepping into. So I think Neighbors finds a good spot in LA to land.
Yeah, I mean the first four picks we were similar. This is where it's going to start to change up and get crazy. Los Angeles Chargers. I got them taking offensive tackle Joe Alt. Harbaugh likes the run game. He's going to want to use a lot of run game so he can get Herbert in the play action, get Joe Alt on that offensive line, get the run game going. I think that's a little more important to Harbaugh than the wide receiver is at this moment.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think one of those two is definitely most likely if the Chargers do end up taking that pick. So at 6, this was the first one that I was definitely kind of debating over. Didn't really know where I wanted to go initially, but I kind of found like the thing I liked the most was the run on wide receivers. I've got a Roma Dunze out of Washington going to the Giants at 6. Again, I think they need some playmaking help. I don't know um, if Danny Dimes is the answer at quarterback, but if he's not, then if they suck this year, at least whoever's coming in will have a little bit of help to work with going forward at wide receiver. So I think he's a great player. I think he lands in a decent spot for him to showcase his ability.
Yeah, New York Giants sixth pick. I have Malik Neighbors still available on my board, so I think Neighbors is going to the Giants. I think they got to give Daniel Jones another year, give him a wide receiver. Even if they take a quarterback, it's going to be unsuccessful, and Dayball's going to get fired. So I think you got to get some weapons there, see what you can do. Malik Neighbors going to the Giants.
I like that. All right. 7th pick, we have the Tennessee Titans. I was kind of looking, offense, defensive line. If there was some really elite defensive line players, I think that could be an option here. But with having the top offensive tackle still on the board, I think Joe Alt going to Tennessee and helping that offensive line makes a lot of sense. I think that's a pretty popular landing spot for where people have him going. This is if Tennessee stays. I do think they are a candidate to be looking to trade out, but or trade down, not necessarily trade out. But yeah, I have Joe Alt out of Notre Dame going to the Titans.
Yeah, Tennessee Titans, I agree with you. Need an offensive tackle. For me, Joe Alt is gone. Next best up, I'm seeing Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State. I think we both agree offensive tackle is probably the pick that the Titans go with here. If they don't trade down, like you are saying, it's one of their needs. Got to give Will Levis a chance. Got to keep him upright. Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State.
Yeah, Levis was pretty impressive with some of the back foot throws that he was making last year. Really, really letting his arm do the talking. But it
Yeah,
might be nice.
this will be a big year for Levis.
It might be nice
Yeah.
if he can step into some without a guy just trucking him as he's letting go of it. So,
Yep.
But yeah, I do agree. This is we're going to learn a lot more about Levis with him having a whole offseason being the guy going into this year. So. At 8, I think we touched on this last week. I think Dallas Turner, edge rusher out of Alabama, going to the Falcons makes the most sense. They need some help on that pass rush. The pass rush last year was not great. Let's see, where's the stat here? They were very, very poor getting after the quarterback last year, and they really they need somebody that gives them that kind of aspect. They have solid corners on that team, like AJ Terrell, but they need somebody that is putting pressure on the quarterback, making him have to get it out of his hands a little quicker to really let those guys eat on the back end of that defense.
Yeah. Number 8, Atlanta Falcons. I got edge first one off the board. Dallas Turner as well. We said this on the podcast last week. He's almost definite going to the Falcons. They need some defensive line help. Once you get your quarterback and you protect your quarterback, your next step is to get somebody on the other side of the ball who can rush their quarterback. So Dallas Turner going to the Falcons. I think it's a shoe-in deal there.
Mm. Yeah. So at 9, we have the Chicago Bears. I talked about this earlier. I think they'll be looking to get out of there. I don't know what necessarily other teams will be looking to trade up for at that point. It could be somebody trying to jump in for a quarterback or something, trying to get ahead of some other teams. But anyway, with them staying for this mock draft, I was looking at some edge stuff. It was a little too early for maybe some of the edges that I was seeing, wide receiver maybe, but wasn't loving it. And so I think they go offensive line. I think they try and bolster that, really, help out Caleb in that aspect. And I've got them taking J.C. Latham, offensive tackle out of Alabama, at the 9 spot.
That is very early for JC Latham. Wow. All right. Yeah, Chicago Bears, once you get your rookie quarterback, I think there's two things to do. You either get offensive line or you get someone on the other side of the ball to rush their quarterback. I got Latu out of UCLA. Second edge rusher off the board going to the Bears. Now they got a top player on each side of the ball there. Give them a lot of stuff to work with. I like that pick. Edge rusher for the Bears there.
All right, I like it. Moving on, 10th pick, we have the New York Jets. I was kind of looking that they could be, looking at maybe wide receiver to help out, boost the offense a little bit. Offensive line, they did just get Tyron Smith, which will help a lot at the tackle position. But both of their tackles are they're both 33 years old right now. Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith. So that is not a young offensive line. So getting some help there could be nice. But the tight end prospect that's available, and this right now in this year's class is Brock Bowers. He's a freak. He's unbelievable. Just go throw on the highlight tape from him at Georgia. What he does, especially with the ball in his hands, is so impressive. I think he adds a nice little extra aspect to this offense, and the Jets could use it. So I think the Jets go Brock Bowers with that 10th pick.
Yeah, 10th pick, New York Jets. I got like you said, there's a lot of different directions they could go here. They could go offensive line, which they really need. They could go tight end. Vegas has Brock Bowers over under at 12.5, so they think 10's a little too early for him. I still got Roma Dunze on my board, and he, out of the wide receiver class, maybe the most adult, just ready to play, plug in, not going to make too much noise. I know Aaron Rodgers doesn't like rookie wide receivers that much. This guy might be a little different. Not going to be doing crazy stuff. Not going to be getting the antics. But I like Roma Dunze going to the Jets. Give him a little more firepower to work with this year.
Nice. Okay. That would actually, if I'm a Jets fan, I am loving that. I would be very happy to see that kind of work out that way for him.
Yeah, I have Roma Dunze falling just a little bit. I think people think
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
going to go a little higher than he will.
So at 11, Minnesota has stayed put. They need their quarterback, and one fell to them. I flip-flopped over this for a little bit. I'm not the hugest fan, but I am taking J.J. McCarthy, quarterback out of Michigan, going to Minnesota there at 11. They have a lot of playmakers on that offense. I think they have a good offensive head coach. I think O'Connell is a good mind. This for whatever quarterback lands there, I think this is going to be a really nice landing spot, and a pretty favorable position to be walking into. So I've got JJ McCarthy going there.
Yeah, I don't think the Vikings end up moving up. I think with the quarterbacks we see taken, they stay put. With the Broncos behind them staying put, and they take JJ McCarthy. The positive is for him, he's coming into a good situation, and he may not necessarily have to start right away. They got Sam Darnold there, who is a very viable quarterback who can start, the first half of the season if he has to. Kevin O'Connell, offensive coach. If there's a place where JJ McCarthy's going to work, this might be it. I'm not sure if Justin Jefferson will be thrilled with that pick, but I think it's what the Vikings do.
Yeah, it is what
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. So next up, we have Denver, and I debated on what I was
this
going to do
this
there.
this
There
was
were
a
some.
hard one. I changed this pick
They
3 or
need
4
everything.
times. They
That's the
need
thing. So
everything. Yep.
it was kind of like best player available, super viable, and there were some corner options that I looked at, but at the end, I decided that you know what, Denver's taking Bo Nix. They're going to be terrible this year. There is no reason for those fans to watch those games or even enjoy any bit of what they're going to watch Denver do this year. So I think they take the rookie quarterback and at least give their fans like a jersey to go buy or something.
That's not a bad thought. Yeah.
Try and add some fun to this season. I don't think he would start immediately. I think it kind of be eased in as the season goes, but I think Denver would be an interesting landing spot for him, working with Sean Payton. So I'm going with Bo Nix out of Oregon, and yeah, kind of a bit of a surprise for sure.
12th pick, Denver Broncos. I really wanted to put Bo Nix in there. But I was looking at they just don't have a ton of draft picks.
Yeah,
So taking a quarterback after bringing Wilson in doesn't really make the most sense in the world. So, like you said, they need everything. I'm going best available. Brock Bowers, tight end, out of Georgia, going to the Broncos.
I
And
think I think if Brock's there, I think that's a great pick. I think he would really, really fit in that offense.
I
But
think
I just didn't
Broncos
have
just
more.
go best
Yeah,
available. I think they got 5 or 6
yeah,
guys on their board, and they're like, whoever's the best available, we're taking. I
yeah.
mean, no one player is going to fix this team right away. So they're,
With that Bowers line at 12 and a half, I feel
I think
really
that's
nice
their,
at taking the under. The only thing that would be scary is if Denver moved up or something, and so then they were moving up for like a quarterback or something.
it's scary
But
because you don't want to take a tight end in the top 10, but there's a lot of people that are going to be thinking
he's
about it.
good though.
I know.
It's really good. Um, but yeah, I do agree with your take there. 13, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders. They also need quarterback, but I thought it was a little early for what I was looking at. I also I'm a bit of a Gardner Minshew believer. I think they can roll with him, especially if they get a little bit of offensive line help, which is where I have them going. I've got them taking Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle out of Penn State at 13.
Las Vegas Raiders, like you said, they got a lot of needs: quarterback, running back, guard, tackle, linebacker. I was looking at the contracts they have. So they have Gardner Minshew on a 2-year deal at a very fair price. I mean, they're paying him 12.5 million a year, but I think it's a great spot for the Raiders to take Michael Penix Jr. and does not have to start right away. I think Gardner's not a bad guy to sit behind. I think they take Michael Penix Jr., probably get something for Aiden O'Connell. Start Gardner Minshew for majority of the year and eventually bring Michael Penix Jr. in. So Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington to the Las Vegas Raiders. Keep him out on the West Coast there.
Nice. New Orleans Saints at 14. Edge, wide receiver, offensive tackle, all kind of options. I think they're going offensive line. Uh, it it's kind of a weird spot.
They're one of those teams that
I,
like they could take like they kind of need a lot of work
yeah,
everywhere.
I think offensive line makes a lot of sense though. It's a safe pick, and I think they're getting good value. He's a guy that kind of fell a little bit, I think, from where most people have. But I still have Talise Fuaga from Oregon State on my board. He's a super versatile offensive lineman, and I think he'll fit well for New Orleans and help keep Derek Carr upright. And yeah, it's just a good safe pick for them to bolster that offensive line.
Yeah, if he falls to 14, I mean it's a great take there. New Orleans Saints, I got him one wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell out of Texas. Uh I don't know whether Derek Carr is good or bad. But I think
Mhm.
this year is really a year where we're gonna figure out if he is a starting quarterback for the next 5 years
Yeah.
in this league. Let's get him some help there. I mean, that
Hmm.
there are so many different directions you can go with this pick.
Yeah.
I think they're just taking the top wide receiver off the board there. I got Donna Mitchell out of Texas going to the Saints.
Nice. All right. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts at 15. Um, I was looking at it, man. They've got Trevor Lawrence in their division. They've got CJ Stroud now in their division with an insane wide receiver group. Um, I think they've got to boost their secondary a little bit. And I've got them taking the top corner on the board right here. I've got Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo going to the Colts here. Um, I just think it makes some sense for what they're going to have to be playing against, and I think they got to go corner.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts, they gotta keep Anthony Richardson healthy. You can't have another season of him playing 4 or 5 games. I think they're going offensive tackle. Troy Fatanu out of Washington. Uh, give him a little more offensive tackle help. I mean, that's the main priority here. I don't really care how many games the Colts win, but you got to
Yeah,
keep him healthy. Got to have him play 14 games this year.
yeah,
We can't see another 3, 4 games season out of him.
That's kind of funny. This is exactly the bet you have. It's like a true 50-50. And I've got one guy going to the Colts. You've got the guy you got. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting. But yeah. All right. This is my big one right here. I've got the Seattle Seahawks at 16. I've got them taking Michael Penix Jr. I got a little bit of boots on the ground up there in Seattle.
Oh, do
Uh,
we?
yeah, apparently the rumor around there is they want to keep him home. Michael Penix went to school in Washington, right there, local, ton of fan support. Would be huge for the jersey sales. They would love it there. They literally just went and grabbed his OC. It just makes a lot of sense, and um, yeah. So it's definitely a reach. It would be six quarterbacks in the first 16 picks, but I'm going Michael Penix.
I just don't see that going to Seattle. So they got Geno Smith, obviously, who is a middle to back tier quarterback who can get it done. They bring in Sam Howell, and now you're going to get Michael Penix Jr. That's three borderline starters in this league. That's going to be a big fight. With the quarterbacks they're facing, that Seattle faces Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, and um, Jer- uh, Matt Stafford. I think they're going edge. Jared Verse out of Florida State. Uh, I think that I like that pick a lot more than quarterback. That's if Seattle takes a quarterback, I'll be surprised. But apparently, you got boots on the ground up there. So
Yeah, that's the rumor going on up there. I do like the Sam Howell pickup, and that does kind of signify that this is not super likely, but it would be a fun little story if Michael Penix ended up there. And I actually don't think he would be a horrible fit for that offense, especially with the playmakers they have. Um, his deep ball to DK would be a really fun combo.
yeah, it would.
So
I'm just a Geno fan. I like Geno. I have no problem
yeah,
starting him in this league. Good guy to learn
yeah,
behind, but the Sam Howell thing just doesn't. What are
hmm
you going to do with Sam Howell?
yeah.
Using as trade value? I don't know.
All right. Next up at 17, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Uh, they just lost Calvin Ridley. Um, they did go get Gabe Davis, but I still think they need some wide receiver help. I've got them taking Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. I talked about it last week on the podcast. I think he fits really well with Trevor Lawrence, some of the bigger body player that can stretch the field. Um, I think he would add a nice little element to that offense and would be a great pick for them. So I've got him going to Jacksonville at 17.
I was looking at wide receiver, but man, they got Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, brought Gabe Davis in, got Zay Jones, got Evan Ingram. I don't know if they need another weapon in the first round. Trevor Lawrence hurt last year, so I think they get some offensive tackle help here. I like tough name here. Olamoya Fashanu out of Penn State, still available on my board. Going down to Jacksonville.
Yeah, you know, um, I think we have all the same offensive line. No, no, not quite. I still have Fatanu still on my board. Anyway, so I've got Cincinnati up next. I think they definitely need some offensive line help. I'm thinking they need a true like bookend tackle. And so I actually have them going Amarius Mims out of Georgia at this spot, offensive tackle. I think he kind of fits exactly what they need. Obviously, with Burrow getting injured last year, like well, Browning did really well, but like you do not want your guy getting hurt. Um, so I think they invest in that to protect their quarterback.
I got them going on the other side of the ball. Cincinnati Bengals. They got some tough QBs in that division. I got them going defensive line. Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. It's top defensive line, kind of on the board there. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't. It's either that or O line. I don't see them doing anything else. But I
Yeah,
like Jerzon Newton out of Illinois to the
I think
Bengals.
I think wide receiver is a possibility.
It is a
If
possibility, but I don't. I
if
don't.
T Higgins is out of
But
there, but
out of 18th
yeah,
in the draft, I don't think they're taking a wide receiver shot.
yeah, I don't disagree there. 19, the Rams. I was looking kind of all along the defensive line here.
Yep.
I think they have to replace a lot there. And I really like the Byron Murphy fit, three tech out of Texas. I think he can do a lot of fun things in that defense. They obviously have a huge hole left by Aaron Donald. I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald by any stretch, but I think he can fill that kind of role where he can, play on the inside but still kind of get after the quarterback and cause some havoc. So I've got Byron Murphy heading to the Rams.
I've got the same thing. Defensive line, Byron Murphy out of Texas, heading to the Rams. Got to fill that hole on the left side, like you're saying. Aaron Donald gone. I'm not sure if they expected him to leave after the season. So,
Mhm.
I mean, they got some steals on the offensive side in the draft last year. I think they go defense here. I like that pick, Brian Murphy.
All right, let's see. At 20, I have the Steelers. This was kind of a weird one here. I didn't really know where to go. I was looking at maybe center, uh, maybe wide receiver or whatever, but there was still some really good value. Guy you had going a lot earlier, Troy Fatano, out of Washington. He's really versatile offensive lineman. He can play a couple different positions. He can play on the inside, and I think he gives them a lot of flexibility along the offensive line. And really, if he pans out, could turn that offensive line that was such a weakness the last couple of years into a pretty decent streak or pretty decent strength, especially with them, hitting on Broderick Jones last year. Um, I think it would be a nice little pairing and definitely a nice fit for Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's been known to find wide receivers. They're great at drafting them. I think
Mm-hmm.
Brian Thomas Jr. has fallen past the Jags, and I think
Yeah.
the Pittsburgh Steelers swipe up Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. Their wide receiver core right now, George Pickens and Van Jefferson. After that,
Mhm.
it's Calvin Austin the third. They got to get someone else in that wide receiver. They are leading the odds to land Brandon Ayuk if he does not
Mhm.
stay with the
That would be
49ers.
it.
Um, I think that'd be a great hit, but if not,
Yep.
Brian Thomas Jr. would be a good pick for the Steelers. They're always known as just like, oh, how'd they
Mhm.
get that wide receiver again?
That would be a great fit for them.
Yep.
Ayuk ending up there. I will say though, Steelers are known for hitting in the draft, although they typically hit like later in the draft on their wide receivers. The last wide receiver that the Steelers took in the first round was 2006, Antonio Holmes. So it has been a long time since they've gone first round wide receiver. So
Yep.
that is something to note. But I would not be surprised to see them go wide receiver, especially if Brian Thomas was available at that point. 21, we have the Dolphins. They have a few ways they can go with this. There's been some rumors going out and getting even more speed to pair with Tyreek and Waddle, going out and getting Worthy and all this stuff. Offensive line they could look towards, but I have them taking Laiatu Latu, edge rusher out of UCLA. Um, they went out and got Jalen Phillips a couple years ago, and he's been great for them. A great edge rusher. He tore his Achilles last year in that tough injury, but it looks like he'll be back. But he was out of Miami, but before he was at Miami, he was an edge rusher at UCLA as well. So I think a little little connection there. So I don't think they did not overlap there, but still, they had good luck with that. I think they dip right back into that and take that edge rusher out of UCLA at 21.
I got the Dolphins going to the defensive side as well. They've still got a lot of stuff on the offense, and they lost a lot on the defense this year. Um, I've got Mike McDaniel taking Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. I white cornerback. A lot of talk about him. I think Mike McDaniel just really will fall in love with that
Yeah,
celebrity power down in Miami. I have him going over Quinion Mitchell. I think he falls down there to the Dolphins.
like that. I do like that. Uh, little uh, little Tyler Hero vibes there. The Miami Heat already got one down there, so
It's just
why not?
It's a Mike McDaniel thing. I can just see him
Yeah, no,
being
I got
I can see him being in the draft. I'm like, screw it. Let's take him. Like
yeah,
like I don't know. Like
no, I got you. So speaking of corners, 20 at 22, we've got the Eagles. Their secondary definitely was a problem last year,
yep.
and I've got them investing in secondary right here. I've got them taking a corner. Terrion Arnold out of
Okay.
Alabama. I've got him going to Philly here at 22 to hopefully help kind of bolster that secondary and improve their pass defense.
Yeah, same thing. Philadelphia Eagles got to go cornerback. I got him going with Quinion Mitchell, right
Yep.
behind Cooper DeJean. I think he's a better fit in the Eagles. Out of Toledo,
Mhm.
they're definitely going to go with that secondary help. I don't see any way that they don't uh, take someone in the backfield there.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. To see them going there. I think uh, it, it was such a problem for them last year that it makes a lot of sense to definitely go instantly address that in the first round.
Yep.
Uh, with their second pick in the first round, we have the Minnesota Vikings
Yeah,
picking at
taking it
23.
from Cleveland.
Um, we both had JJ McCarthy, I believe, going earlier, so
We did.
we both have them already having addressed quarterback. So now they're kind of left with where do we go from here? And probably one of the best available players left on my board. He has fallen. Is Jared Verse, edge rusher out of FSU. He's still available. I think he gives them a nice pass rushing option. Really a solid defensive player and a good fit for Minnesota right there at 23.
Yeah, we keep saying this. After you take a rookie quarterback, there's two ways to go: offensive tackle or edge rusher on the other side of the ball. I'm going offensive tackle. I have J.C. Latham from Alabama falling all the way down to the Minnesota Vikings. Listen, if
Yep.
they get J.J. McCarthy and J.C. Latham, that's two pretty good picks in the first round,
Mhm.
especially if he falls all the way down to 23. So, yeah,
All right. Let's see. Next up, 24, your favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys.
gosh, I hate the
Uh,
Cowboys.
I think they definitely have some holes. I think they absolutely have to go running back at some point in time in this
Oh,
draft, but I do not see them taking a running back in the first round. I think that'll be more of like a round two, round three sort of thing. I do think they will end up taking one of the top running backs, but none
there
of the
is
running
a
backs.
the betting line for running backs over under is a half for the first
Yeah,
round. I don't
I
see it
don't think.
happening.
Yeah, I don't think you see a running back in the first round. I do think the Cowboys do go running back at some point, but it will not be then. I actually have a nice little fit for Graham Barton, center out of Duke. I think he'll fit kind of right in to the Dallas offensive line and what they need. Um, they've had obviously very good offensive lines just over the past, over the course of the past 8 to 10 years. They've really been known for that, and I think they want to invest in keeping it that way. So I think they take part out of Duke.
Dallas has a lot of needs: running back, wide receiver, center, tackle, defensive line, linebacker. A lot of directions they could go. But Cowboys like getting some weapons in the first round. Jerry Jones likes doing it. They're one injury away from CeeDee Lamb from having no one to throw to. So
Mhm.
I got him going wide receiver, Lad McConkey out of Georgia. Uh, got to get some more weapons there. Can't ask Dak to do it all.
I like the lad fit in that offense. More, a little bit more of a slot guy. Can do a lot more work underneath, kind of opening things up. Let CD kind of work around the middle of the field and downfield. So I do like that fit there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, 25 Green Bay Packers. This was an interesting one. I actually was like, this was like one of the ones that I was really on the fence about for a while. I didn't love a ton of the options at like where their clear needs were. Um, and I finally just settled on Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Uh, the corner, I think, adding a little bit of corner help will help them. They have some solid corners, but it just I don't know. It felt like a solid player that this was kind of around the right time for him to go, and I think he could definitely help that team.
I got the Green Bay Packers going offensive tackle, Amarius Mims out of Georgia. Back to back picks for Georgia there. If he falls down to 25, um, I think that's a
Mhm.
great pick for them. They just lost Bakhtiari. Need some offensive line help. So Amarius Mims out of Georgia.
All right. At the 26th pick, I'm about to say a guy that you will respond to me with who, and then try and figure out where this guy is and what the heck I just did. Tampa Bay, I didn't love a whole lot that was available, and with looking at what they need on this team,
Everything.
uh, it made sense for what I was looking at. I think a lot of people were kind of looking Chop Robinson there, but I've actually got them taking a bit of a surprise pick, off-ball linebacker, but he's an unbelievable player. All multiple time all conference player. Whenever I watched him, he was flying around the field making plays. I've got them taking Peyton Wilson, linebacker out of NC State. Uh, Fantastic player, really, really good player. He's not really the prototypical player that you see the NFL taking early in drafts these days, but he's just a really, really solid player. That he's. I'm not gonna. I don't want to compare him to like a Luke Kuechly because I mean that's a Hall of Famer, but like that could be your field general of your defense for the next 8 to 10 years.
I actually don't hate that pick. I mean, Pro Football Focus has Peyton Wilson as the 30th ranked draft
Okay,
spot there. So I
well
mean,
there you go.
they see him as an end of round one guy. Not a no name guy,
There you
but
go. Okay.
I still think it's a little early. The Tampa Bay Bucks need. I have my needs written down here. They need everything. And I got him going cornerback. Terrion Arnold out of
Yep.
Alabama. Uh, just thinks it makes the most sense there for them. There's a lot of different directions they could go. But yeah, I got him going cornerback out of Alabama, Terrion Arnold.
Yeah, I don't hate that. If Terry, I have him going earlier. If he had fallen to that point, I think that's a really solid take for Tampa Bay there.
Yep.
Next up, we have Arizona.
With their
Uh,
second pick from
yeah,
Houston.
yeah, I believe that was the Will Anderson deal from last year's draft to move up to get him.
Yep.
I have them taking Chop Robinson out of Penn State, edge rusher, athletic freak, really, really, really solid player. Can do a lot of different things. Get after the passer. He's very fast. Um, really can hold that edge. So I've got him going to the Cardinals.
I've got the Cardinals taking my first center off the board, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. Keep him on the West
Mhm.
Coast over there. Center is a big need for the Cardinals. They've already grabbed their wide receiver. Let's just boost that offensive line a little bit. Taking that center out of Oregon.
Mhm. Let's see, 28. I have the Buffalo Bills. I think they got to go wide
They
receiver
got to
after
go wide
losing
receiver,
Diggs.
right? I mean,
Um, and I still have AD Mitchell on my board available, wide receiver out of Texas. He's a bigger body. The other guys kind of available are smaller guys. The Bills have some smaller wide receivers. They don't really have a bigger body guy. So I think AD Mitchell makes a lot of sense there going to Buffalo.
yeah, like you said, Buffalo, they need a wide receiver. I got them taking Troy Franklin out of Oregon.
Okay.
There's a lot of different guys they could take there.
Mhm.
Late round one, but there's almost no way that they don't take wide receiver. He's still my top guy on the board. So Troy Franklin out of Oregon is heading to the Bills.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Detroit Lions. I think we talked about this last week, but with the whole Cam Sutton situation, they need some secondary help. They
Yep.
need some help at corner. Um, and I think they go Nate Wiggins, corner out of Clemson, very athletic guy, rangy, really improved the last couple years. I got a bunch of buddies, Clemson fans that are always kind of ragging on him his first couple years, but he's really really improved and become a very good player. And yeah, I think this is a great spot for Detroit to really improve their secondary.
Detroit does not have a whole lot of holes in their team right now. But one place they do need help is that secondary. I have the same pick. Nate Wiggins, Clemson, cornerback, going to the Lions. Think it'll help that secondary just a little bit. Athletic,
Yeah,
competitive guy. I mean,
yeah.
I think they got to do that.
Let's see, 30. So now we go to the Ravens. Uh, they definitely have some issues on the offensive line that
Yep.
probably need to be addressed. And uh, Jackson Powers Johnson is available on my board, and I wanted to go there, and I think that was probably where they would go. But I would love, this is very much not a Baltimore Ravens pick at all, but I would love to see them take Lad McConkey in this slot and go get a, super reliable wide receiver, good hands, can work kind of the underneath areas of the field, really open things up. For Zay Flowers, allow him to kind of work deeper part of the field. I think it would do a lot of things for this offense. They probably have bigger needs on the offensive line, but I do have them going Lad McConkey, wide receiver out of Georgia here.
I liked where you were going at the beginning, and then it kind of went off the trail there.
Yeah.
I have them do fixing that offensive line. I got them taking Graham Barton out of Duke. You had them
Okay.
going
Yep.
much earlier, but
Yep.
I'm from that area. I mean, I
Hmm.
probably going to play center
Yep.
in the league, so I like them taking Graham Barton out of Duke.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic pick for Baltimore. I do think it's probably pretty likely they end up going offensive line, but I think it would be a lot of fun if they went and got Lad and really started loading up on some guys for Lamar. So San Francisco next. Again, I was looking Jackson Powers Johnson again. I think he's a really good player. He would fit. They could use a little bit of offensive line help. But I also think they could use a little bit of secondary help. I think at corner, this is a really good spot for them to go kind of get another corner. And I've got them taking Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback out of Alabama. Um, if
I like
the
that.
IU thing was a bigger concern, or if they were really, really concerned about it, I could see them going wide receiver as well. Um, but I'm hoping that they kind of get that smoothed over and can keep him on the team and, uh, you know, keep that wide receiver room together.
Yeah, I have the 49ers going defense as well. I was tossing it back and forth between Kool-Aid, but I got them going with safety Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota. Good run stopper. I The 49ers do need, I think, a wide receiver, but I don't think it's happening there. I think they stick on that defensive end. Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota.
And then with the last pick of the first round, final pick of our mock drafts, 32, we have Kansas City, Super Bowl champs. They could use some offensive line help, some offensive tackle help. I feel like I've said that with a lot of teams, but anyway, edge rusher, maybe corner as well to replace Snead. But I got to go with the fun pick, man. Xavier Worthy, he runs a 4.21. Like they've got Rasheed Rice in trouble. Like let's get somebody that can stretch the field. I want to see Mahomes just launch it downfield again and not just be the MVS and it's just not going to work. Like I want it to be like a wide receiver where these 80-yard bombs are happening again for Kansas City. So I've got Xavier Worthy, wide receiver out of Texas, heading to Kansas City and really giving Mahomes a nice weapon to work with.
Yeah, on the podcast last week, I thought Xavier Worthy was going to be going in the first round, maybe to Dallas. I don't even have him in my first round. I got the Kansas City Chiefs taking wide receiver Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Yeah,
I do not like that pick.
you don't.
I'm not high on Keon Coleman.
I
But
got him going Keon Coleman. I think
yeah,
Rasheed Rice will be fine. Take a little risky
okay.
pick. Um, we've seen a
Yeah,
lot worse.
it's
We've seen a lot worse in this league than what Rasheed Rice has done. He'll be back. He'll be fine, even if it's a
yeah,
2 or 3 game
it's
suspension.
it's so public, man. I'm thinking we could be looking at 6, 8 games, man. Plus, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
it's
but I think we both agree Kansas City Chiefs are going wide receiver. I
yeah,
mean, they're pretty used to drafting pretty late in the first round, and they're pretty used to finding someone that works well for
yeah.
them. So that was our screenplay podcast mock draft. We will see how many we got right, how many we missed badly on. Probably not too many. Probably a lot of very accurate picks.
I definitely hit 32 for 32, so I don't know about you. I will
Yeah.
give one bonus as the Panthers fan here. The Panthers have 33. I was looking at it, what's available, and I do think they'll be taking Leggett, wide receiver out of South Carolina. Uh, they like going with the local guy. They took J.C. Horn a couple years ago. He's played like 3 games in 2 years. It's been great. He's been just hurt the entire time. So since that worked out so well, I think we dip right back into South Carolina again and take a wide receiver. He's actually a very, very good player and would definitely help the offense, but that's who I've got going to the Panthers at 33. Just fun little bonus pick for my Panthers fans that listen to this.
We'll throw one more bonus pick question out there for our South Carolina Gamecock fans. Where do you think Spencer Rattler ends up?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, leave that one in the comments on Instagram. This will be probably a little video or something. But yeah, let us know. We got a few of y'all. I know Taco's listening.
Yeah.
So
All right. Yeah, that was mock draft. A lot of research went into that, but that was fun. Draft tomorrow, gonna be watching.
yeah.
Thursday, April 25th. Gonna be
Mhm.
exciting. Can't wait to follow it. We're gonna be back next week. We're gonna be ranking how teams did. Give some letter grades out. Who had the worst
Oh
draft?
yeah.
Who had the best draft? Pretty excited. Don't know what's gonna happen, but
For us Panthers fans, this is usually the most exciting time of the year because games aren't being played. But now we don't even have a first rounder, so I'll be just watching as a podcast host instead of a fan, I guess, this year. But hey, it is what it is. It's always fun, and I
yeah.
can't wait to see who goes there.
Even if the Patriots end up taking May, I'll end up buying a jersey on draft night, even though I'm
Hey,
not
maybe
proud
you'll
of it.
take JJ McCarthy at 3, and it'll
Oh
be really
boy.
great.
That'll be great. All right. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Good luck to Novak this week in New Orleans and
Appreciate it.
enjoy the draft.
Yeah, y'all have a great time. Thanks for listening, and y'all have a great week.